Hello, welcome to another episode of Culture Mosaic on VTV International. In the next 30 minutes, we will visit Ningben village in the northern province of Ninh, where raft stones are turned into unique and exquisite works of art. And then we'll have the chance to meet with author of the 50-page entry, which won the first prize in the 2015 What Do You Know About Vietnam contest. So let's start our show today with the headlines. Photographers show their love for Hanoi through the shutter. We then meet with the winner of the 2015 What Do You Know About Vietnam contest, who showed his deep understanding of the country. And coffee, not just only a drink, but also a manifestation of art and culture. Let's now begin with some culture stories in our culture and lifestyle segments. Ninh village in the northern province of Ninh is famous for stone carving. Most of local households practice this traditional craft, turning raft stones into unique and exquisite works of art. The following report takes you to this special location where we'll get an insider view into the craft.
According to some documents, the very foundation of the Hoa Lư ancient capital paved way for the establishment of craft villages in Ninh in the old days. Among those villages, Ninh Stone Village is better known thanks to the connection with endless limestone mountain ranges, which is the biggest nature resources of Ninh province. This has brought Emerick, a French expat living in Hanoi for 2 years now, to come and explore these ancient craft villages. The first stop of the journey is Long's house, one of the oldest houses in the area.
Làm ngày xưa là nó không có máy móc gì hết, làm đều bằng tay. Cả một cái xã này giờ còn có mình nhà bà đây là đời cổ ngày xưa đấy.
The house is more than 200 years old. It is decorated with beautiful stone sculptures inside and outside, ceiling and floor, doors and beams. Floral decorations look real and delicate. In this village, rock doesn't mean a lifeless thing. In fact, it is the substance of life and inspiration for art. There is a strong bond between stone and the life of local people.
So, what all these rocks mean for you?
Tôi không có đá thì tôi không thể có cuộc sống như hiện nay. Và bố mẹ tôi, tổ tiên tôi đều có, mà tôi cũng đi theo cái đó.
Emerick continues his journey meeting a famous craftsman in the area. Nguyễn Hữu Bình was born into a traditional family of the stone craft. He has created artworks which are praised both domestically and internationally. And today, Emerick will follow him to learn how to create a work of art from stone. The first step is testing the stone sound to choose the good one, which seems challenging for Emerick.
Nếu hòn đá nào mà nó có cái độ kêu như là chuông, không có tiếng bình bịch thì ta phải sử dụng được.
After choosing good rock, the next step is to use hammer to split a piece of rock from the block. The work requires patience and good techniques. The craftsmen have to smooth the rock before entering the last and also the most difficult step, sculpture.
Ngày xưa là các cụ dạy các chú ấy là khi làm cái sản phẩm này là mình mang hết tâm huyết ra để cho nó đẹp.
by Vinoy.
Đó.
How can you explain that passion for your job?
Cái này là bác yêu nghề là vì mỗi một cái tác phẩm như thế này ra đời thì bác sẽ mang đến hết các cái vùng quê trong Việt Nam, nên là bác rất tự hào về cái nghề sản phẩm này.
A craftsman in Ningvan will be honored as master if he can perform the technique of wind sculpture. In other words, wind sculpture means creating sculpture with holes on and the wind can blow through. To sculpture wind holes, the craftsman must be focused on every tiny details. A minor mistake will ruin all effort.
In my country, there are also a lot of sculptures in the church, in the monuments, but because when we are at home, we don't care so much about such kind of details. But now, because I came in Vietnam and I saw how the craftsman works, I think when I will come back in France, I will not see the monument the same before.
At present, more than 80% of Ningvan villagers work in the craft of making stoneware, besides dozens of artisans involved in the design work and engraving stone into fine art articles. There are more than 20 enterprises, large and small, specializing in quarrying and trading stone. Profit from stoneware making account for 77% of Ningvan villagers' total income, and the business provides many jobs to the locals and contributes to making the hamlet thrive.
Hanoi has proved a muse for many artists, including photographers. No matter whether they are professional or amateur, many love the city and express their love through their works. We will meet some photographers that have special love for Hanoi in our culture and lifestyle this week.
Hanoi is a city famous for its rich history, culture, and architecture. A harmonious blend of past and present has made the city an endless source of artistic inspiration. For decades, Hanoi has undergone different changes, and while some of these changes may have disappeared, they've been all captured through the shutter of photographers. These photos were taken by Quang Phung. The photographer, now over 80 years old, still lives in Hanoi.
Chào chị. Mời chị vào. Mời chị vào.
Dạ vâng. Bác ở nhà này bao nhiêu năm vậy ạ?
Tôi ở ít phải 55 năm.
Vâng.
Vâng. 55
rất
năm.
là cổ.
Vâng.
Having spent almost of his life in Hanoi, Quang Phung has captured many ups and downs of the city through his photographs. One unforgettable moment was Hanoi's Liberation Day.
Lúc này khoảng 5 rưỡi sáng. 5 rưỡi sáng ngày mùng 10 tháng 10 năm 54. Thế bất ngờ thì tôi thấy bọn trẻ. Tôi thấy bọn trẻ nó hò hét gọi nhau, không đi về, không có áo len, mặc dù 10 tháng 10 hơi se lạnh rồi. Thế tôi hỏi các cháu ra đây làm gì sớm thế? Vì lúc giờ là 5 rưỡi vẫn còn nhập nhèm tối. Thì nó bảo chúng cháu đón bố, mẹ cháu đang khóc ở nhà. Hai đứa cùng nói mẹ cháu đang khóc ở nhà, bởi vì người ta đã gửi giấy báo tử rồi mà mẹ cháu vẫn nhắc chúng cháu đi vì chưa biết đâu bố về. Cái niềm hy vọng chan chứa những đứa trẻ.
The city has changed greatly since that memorable day long ago. However, Phung's love for Hanoi and for photography has not changed at all. Rain or shine, he goes out every day with his camera, observing the outside world and capturing not only moments but stories.
nó là tính tài liệu. Đấy là một cái đặc tính số 1 của nhiếp ảnh. Không phải đẹp, không phải đẹp. Tài liệu phải kể một câu chuyện, phải ghi một dấu ấn.
Quang Phùng refers to Hoàn Kiếm Lake as his peaceful place. There, he finds his inspiration as well as new friends who share his interest.
Tôi rất yêu Hà Nội. Những ảnh của tôi chụp thì thể hiện những các cái mà gần như là rất mộc mạc và bình dị. Ở Hà Nội này thì nhiều người ta nghĩ đến là sự hối hả, sự tấp nập của một đường phố thường hay tắc đường. Nhưng tôi thì hay rất thích chụp những cái lúc mà bình dị nhất và bình yên nhất của Hà Nội.
Photography is becoming a popular pastime in modern life. Thông and his friend Bảo joined a group called Café Ảnh. Started in 2012, the group has attracted over 17,000 online members. Once a month, Café Ảnh organizes one or two offline activities. Moving beyond Hanoi, they have traveled to several places across Vietnam.
Khi mà tham gia nhiếp ảnh, bạn sẽ phải đi tới những vùng miền, sẽ thấy được những cảnh đời hay những cái phong cảnh đẹp quê hương đất nước để mình có thể truyền bá, mình có thể phổ biến để cho mọi người biết đến những cái nơi mà danh lam thắng cảnh, hoặc là những cái vùng miền về cuộc sống của bà con vùng sâu vùng xa, hoặc đơn giản là những thân phận của từng con người hoặc từng nhóm người.
Two generations of photographers meet here. Quang Phùng showed his works on the spread of HIV/AIDS in Hanoi. Having pursued the subject for over 5 years, this is one of his most meaningful collections about modern life.
Qua cái buổi nói chuyện với cả bác thì có thêm được nhiều kinh nghiệm. Đó là cái cách tiếp cận với cả cái đối tượng chụp đời thường ra làm sao, và cái câu chuyện của từng bức ảnh một.
Thế thì đấy là tôi bảo chắc ảnh là thật, ảnh là đối mặt với hiện thực. Đừng phủ phiếm, đừng dùng những cái danh từ mơ hồ. Ảnh ghi lại cái cuộc sống thực, để nếu như người ta làm được cái cuộc sống thực ấy tốt hơn, làm cho người ta yêu quý nhau hơn, thì ảnh mới có giá trị.
You're tuning into Culture Mosaic, our weekly journal featuring the rich cultural diversity of Vietnam. We bring you the latest in the domestic art scene with the contributions of both Vietnamese and foreign artists, thus connecting you with the best in local and international creativity. So don't go away, we have a lot more in this week's instrument coming up for you in just a moment.
What Do You Know About Vietnam is a contest launched by the Voice of Vietnam for foreigners in Vietnamese overseas. Starting in 1995, the contest is organized every 5 years with 6 questions covering Vietnam's development in different aspects. This year, nearly 300 entries were submitted, proving the great attention of foreigners and Vietnamese overseas to the country.
A 50-page entry, complemented by an 85-page PowerPoint, won the first prize of the 2015 What Do You Know About Vietnam contest. The author of this entry has impressed the judge with a deep understanding of the country, as well as his professionally presented answers for the question. So in this week's On the Mic, let's find out more about this man.
John Rutledge from America is a finance professor in Nanning, China. He's a shortwave radio hobbyist and a loyal listener of the Voice of Vietnam radio for decades.
This is the Voice of Vietnam, broadcasting from Hanoi.
The station's 30-minute broadcast at 7:30 every evening and a tea is John's perfect way to relax after long hours teaching. John's first visit to Vietnam was 20 years ago, and ever since, he has continued to keep in touch with the country through this habit. That has led him to participate and later win in 2015 contest. Thank you for your time, John Rutledge, and welcome to On the Mic today. So the first question, why did you join the competition?
Well, my hobby is shortwave radio listening. Before the internet, if you wanted to learn about other countries, what's going on, you listen to shortwave radio, and then from there you can hear the news, learn a little bit about the culture. Now, unfortunately, with the internet, the interest in shortwave has been dying, and fewer countries maintain shortwave stations. So because of that, I have a little loyalty to the Voice of Vietnam. And of course, when a radio station has a competition, I'm always interested. The Voice of Vietnam competition is one they hold every 5 years. And for me, I was particularly keen in being very competitive in winning this one because the last one I participated in 2010. You know, I didn't win. And as a matter of fact, it was educational in the sense that I found the person who did win happened to be a French person who wrote a 70-page paper. The message was to me that if you want to win, you've got to really you got to think, you got to really do your research and then put it all together and present a product.
Rutledge's 50-page essay and 84-slide PowerPoint showed his thorough knowledge about Vietnam in various fields, including tourism, economics, international relations, among others. Each of his answers is presented with charts and photos. This, according to the judges, had made his essay the best among the 295 contestants. And according to Rutledge, he has gained this experience from winning similar contests by other national radio voices, such as Mongolia and North Korea. So the first question was about the achievements of Vietnam. So what do you think about this?
From my research, pretty impressive was the fact that the gross domestic product, the GDP, is last 5 years, or you can go back 10 years, is just fantastic growth rates. And again, it shows if you're looking around the city. Also, it's pretty impressive. The unemployment numbers are pretty impressive. As a matter of fact, maybe my own government can learn a thing or two. And then last but not least, the trade balance. And the reason why that one's pretty impressive is the fact that a lot of countries, to try to maintain a balance of trade, they do what they can to dissuade imports, to cut those down. But Vietnam's not doing that. They're still allowing a great number of imports to come in, and so they're making that up with the exports. So they initially had a negative balance of trade a few years ago, and now it's about even, maybe a little bit positive. And I think that's pretty impressive, that they're not doing it the easy way.
So you wrote 50 pages and 80 pages of PowerPoint. So how did you prepare for this?
I didn't really get started immediately. Basically what I was doing initially is first couple of months just research on the internet. Whatever ever ahead of time, 15 minutes here, hour there, half an hour there, and just find things, pull them into a file. And it was around May that I actually started pulling that information together and trying to produce a report and the accompanying PowerPoint presentation.
Is there any special moment when you were doing this essay?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I do have one. Now, the questions they have there, I'm going to tell you something. The worst one, honestly, was question number 4. It had to do with a tourism campaign going on this year. And I discovered early on that Vietnam has over 7,000 festivals. And I figure every year. And I thought, you know something, not all 7,000 are going to be a part of this campaign. I honestly spent weeks and weeks looking for it until I finally stumbled upon the right keywords and the right website that direct me there, and I found it. And I was so happy. And I'll admit, I did have some secret tricks that I used. Not so much secret. I mean, they're simple things. For example, of course, a lot of the material I got from the internet. Including photos and some of the news. I basically footnoted them all. And actually, one of the judges I heard commented that they were really surprised about that. And I said, gee, just like a professor. Well, I'm a finance professor in China, so no big surprise there.
So you won the first place. What did you get?
What the prize was a chance to visit Vietnam for a week. This isn't my first visit to Vietnam. I came here 20 years ago. And I will say this, the changes in Vietnam are simply amazing. I'm very surprised. When I was here 20 years ago, Vietnam was still a developing country. Still had a ways to go. But this year when I showed up, looking around, looking at the buildings, the modern buildings, the number of businesses that are open, the types of businesses, you could tell that things have vastly improved in Vietnam. I find it a bit amazing.
Winning a trip to Vietnam for a week, Rutledge spent most of his time exploring Hanoi. And of course, he couldn't miss out on taking photos at Hoàng Kim Lake, the heart of the busy old city. Rutledge also visited the city's largest covered market, where he found some signature specialties of the country, from dry food to the conical hat. Bát Giang Ceramic Village in the east of the city was also one of the highlights on this trip. Its traditional trade of making ceramic products for daily use and decoration dated back 8 centuries ago. Nowadays, by applying new technology and innovating models, the new generations of pottery makers are well preserving their family's legacy.
It's really enjoyable seeing all the different products that they make here, whether it be ceramic cups or ceramic vases or even ceramic fish. There's so many beautiful things here that, I'd love to take them home with me.
So, would you come back to Vietnam again, and where would you visit?
Okay. The problem, it seems that every time I visit Vietnam, I'm stuck here in Hanoi. Will I come back again? Yeah, I'm sure I will, but I'd like to probably go down further south. Actually, I'd like to go to Hue, maybe Da Nang, Ho Chi Minh City, and maybe further south if possible.
Thank you for your time and good luck with your trip.
Coffee is not just only a drink, it is also a manifestation of art and culture. The enjoyment of coffee varies across many countries around the world since the beverage was discovered in ancient history. So how do Vietnamese coffee lovers do it in Vietnam? Let's find out more in this week's edition of Connecting Cultures.
This traditional cup of coffee has been preserved by many traditionally inspired cafes like this one for generation after generation. Let's check out the eccentric vintage design and awesome insight into Vietnamese coffee Gọng Cafe has to offer. Located at 101 C6 Trần Huy Liệu, Hanoi, this Gọng Cafe is one of many across Vietnam that serve the yin and yang of Vietnamese coffee. Café đen, otherwise known as black coffee, and Café nâu, aka white coffee.
Đối với cà phê đen và cà phê nâu thì đều được pha bằng phin theo cách cổ truyền thống của Việt Nam để tạo nên một cái sự đậm đặc, sánh và cái hương thơm nó rất là nồng nàn.
Cốc cà phê của những thương hiệu nổi tiếng ấy, bây giờ hầu như là chỉ là sữa và mang cái hương vị cà phê thôi. Còn cà phê thật và cà phê truyền thống thường là có vị đắng và đúng là cà phê nguyên chất.
Not only are the cups traditional, Gọng Cà phê follows a distinctly vintage style of design.
Người sáng lập ra Gọng Cà phê là một người nghệ sĩ và chị sinh ra trong cái thời bao cấp của Việt Nam và chị rất là yêu cái tinh thần, cái không gian đó. Khi mà đến với Cộng thì mình như đang cảm nhận được cái nhịp sống nó chậm rãi hơn. Chị muốn mang đến cho các khách hàng một không gian ấm cúng, thân thiện, đậm chất Hà Nội và nó có một cái gì đấy các bạn có thể cảm nhận là nó rất là hào hùng.
Following the introduction of the global cafe giant Starbucks in 1971, a series of modern cafes have been born, which brings us to Boo Cafe for the second part of today's journey in Vietnam.
Cái xu hướng của giới trẻ bây giờ thì cũng rất là chuộng các thứ mới mẻ từ nước ngoài khi mà Việt Nam mình rất là mở cửa và phát triển trong khoảng chục năm gần đây.
While traditional Vietnamese coffee is about purity, the tenderness of modern day coffee is formed by milk. So today I had the pleasure of joining our very own barista here at Boo Cafe to check out the awesome recipe and how this amazing coffee is made. Let's have a look. Chào bạn. Vậy thì cappuccino thì được làm như thế nào nhỉ?
Thường cappuccino thì khi nói đến cappuccino thì chúng ta không thể quên được là nó là có một shot espresso, cộng thêm với cả là sau đó thì là có khoảng tầm 70% là bọt sữa và sau đó là 30% là sữa tươi nóng và sau đó thì là trên cùng là một pha sắc mỹ một quế lên để tạo một cái hình ảnh rất là ấn tượng.
Cappuccino is only just one in the diverse list of espresso coffees. There is also latte, which adds more milk, or mocha, which utilizes whipped cream and chocolate syrup as well. Creativity can be found in almost every contemporary cafe in Vietnam. While Sang or Green lives in the architecture of Boo, this cafe also uses recycled and environmentally friendly material too.
Thông điệp chúng tôi rất muốn để lại là chúng ta hãy quan tâm tới cả môi trường, tới cả xã hội nữa.
Moreover, creativity even exists in coffee art too. Coffee is a language of expression. If Vietnamese coffee culture's youthful creativity is a representation of Vietnam's global integration, retrospective purity is a way to tell the world about Vietnam's proud history.
And that is the end of our program. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you would like to provide feedback or comment on anything here on Culture Mosaic, please feel free to write to us at culturemosaic@vtv.vn and make sure to include your name and address. You can also log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go for more of our program. And don't forget to join us next week for another episode of Culture Mosaic. This is Dai Chang and goodbye for now.